But
Yeah.
wait, before we get too far into it,
Yeah.
anybody that's listening right now,
Oh,
spoiler alert.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
where we're at right now in this episode 1 is we've gone from episode 1 to episode 8. Episode 9 is the season finale, which will be coming out Friday. So we're going to break down right now everything that has come up until episode 8. All right. Obviously, we're breaking down WandaVision right now, episodes 1 through 8. Episode 1 and 2, question marks,
Mhm.
right? What the hell's going on with this? They give you little tiny hints here and there of like with the radio, with the helicopter being in color, something's off, right?
Mhm.
And that led me into the theories. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be like House of M, like she's creating this reality, right?
Mhm.
Especially Vision's dead.
Yeah.
How is he even alive,
Yeah.
right? And we don't really see anything until episode 3, and I think it was episode 3, I want to say, at the end, where in that episode Geraldine, was that where she had the babies, right? And then Geraldine was like,
Mhm.
she starts talking about her brother.
Yeah, she was
And
like, "Oh, you were a twin too." She said something. She referenced Wanda having a twin brother, and then Wanda, was kind of surprised that this girl even brought that up.
she
And then
said
she followed up by,
yeah, she said oh, he was killed by Ultron.
yeah. So then she brings up Ultron. So this is like the first time that anybody is referencing the real universe
They broke the
inside
fourth
of
wall.
Wanda's, yeah, inside of Wanda's universe.
Yeah.
So
So there she is. Episode 4, we get that kind of some of the answers that we were looking for, right? Like, okay, this something's going on here. There's something happening on the outside. We find out about Westview, right? And how Westview is the hex, right?
mhm,
Wanda's created this on her own, all sorts of stuff. We finally get a little bit of answers, but there's still so many questions, right? But the biggest thing maybe so far in this whole show was episode 5. And episode 5 at the very end had something that had me freaking out in
mhm,
a way that I haven't freaked out since 2016 with DC Rebirth in the introduction of Dr. Manhattan, right?
yes,
Cuz
yeah,
we've been waiting for I think it was 2 years ago at this point, right? It seems like it's been pretty recently, but 2 years ago at this point that Disney bought, I guess, Fox, right?
mhm. That acquisition, I think it first started taking place. I think they finalized it recently, but this is when they finally were able to start talking about, hey, let's incorporate the Fox universe. And with the Fox universe, what that entails is the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So,
that's the biggest question that we've had. It was kind of answered a little bit because that was, I think they were talking about it right before Endgame came out,
mhm,
and Marvel said like, "Hey, you don't expect anything X-Men or none of that until at least Phase 4." Right?
mhm,
So we were like, "Okay, pump the brakes on it a little bit." But the biggest question is, okay, X-Men is so huge, right? I mean, it's
mhm.
global. Like these people are mutants. So we've already established a world, we've already established a universe. How are we just going to introduce mutants into it? So these are some of the biggest questions, which we will get into more into detail on kind of the theories with that in another episode. But just for now, we see the first little sprinkle of that
Yeah,
with
and it's like this is the introduction to the next phase. And this is, they're sprinkling this question in right here. They're planting this seed. So a lot of questions, a lot of questions to be answered, Marvel.
and one of the questions is, okay, is this Quicksilver, right? And let me break it down real quick for those watching that might not know even this means, right? So, like you said, X-Men is in a different universe because of Fox. Technically, in the comic books, it's all the same universe as Marvel Universe, right?
Mhm,
But X-Men is its own thing. Marvel Universe is its own thing. Just like with Spider-Man wasn't able to be used because Spider-Man was over and owned by Sony. They made that deal. Now Spider-Man's in the MCU. But one common thing between the X-Men universe and the MCU was Quicksilver, right? Pietro and Wanda are actually the children of Magneto.
mhm,
right? And they are Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which we've never heard them referred to in the MCU. And simultaneously, while we have Pietro, we have another Quicksilver who's the same character over in the X-Men universe. So it wasn't really confusing because they were kind of, in their own things and they didn't refer to them as the same character.
Hmm.
But the question is, okay, is this the X-Men Quicksilver, or you know later down we see Agatha kind of say like, oh, he's a fake Pietro, right? But if you look right here, is that the same jacket or no?
Oh, that's a good call out.
Good, same jacket, pretty much the same hairstyle, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, and then you could see right here we have him looking like Quicksilver out of the comic books. So that's the biggest question, right? Is this our first introduction into X-Men, or is this just some sort of a little tease that they gave us and they're going to do something else? I guess we'll break that down in another video because we could go all day on that.
This is, yeah, because this is literally
Mind
brain
blowing.
blowing information. Yeah. So it's like, okay, if they're doing it, they're introducing it this early. What is it called? What is this set up for down the line, like looking long term? Or is this just like them trying to sprinkle it in, hint, give us a little Easter egg hint now for something that they got going on, maybe even further down the line than we have anticipated?
Exactly. So episode that was episode 5. Episode 5 and episode 6, we saw Vision kind of start to realize, hey, something's going on, especially with what's his name, Norm, going into his brain, and whatnot. And then he tries to leave the hex, right? So that brings us to the question: can he even survive outside of the hex? Right?
Yeah.
You see, now looking back on it, look at the way his hands are disintegrating, and it's almost like yellow, right?
Hmm.
We saw later when Wanda created Vision that he was first like being created like yellow almost, right? So
Yeah.
is he just a creation of Wanda's? Can he survive out of the hex? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's looking like within the hex, all of this entire reality that Wanda has built is all functioning based off of her power. But once you leave the hex, it looks like you're out of that reach of her power. It looks like he can survive temporarily. I don't know if that's an extension of how powerful Wanda is. That they don't necessarily need to be in the hex if she can focus on them directly. I don't know, but yeah, it seems to correlate with her powers directly. So it seems like I don't think that he'll be able to survive outside of the hex. But I, the thing is that we have this creation that she's able to just build inside of the hex. It's another replicate of a human being based off of memories.
Yeah, so it seems like she's able to just change reality, create reality inside of the hex, but I don't know if it extends further,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we saw when she left the hex, her accent came back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, who knows what's going on. But speaking of outside of the hex, that leads us over to this guy, Director
Oh
Hayward.
yeah.
Tell me, bro,
So yeah. So a
what's
little
this
bit
guy's
about this
deal? What's
guy.
wrong with this guy?
So this guy, he's the one in charge. He's pretty much running this operation right now to infiltrate this hex. Because of what's happened is Wanda has taken Vision's body after what has happened after the snap, after Endgame. This company Sword has been established, and they have Wanda's or Vision's body. Because you got to remember, Vision is made out of vibranium. He is technically a weapon. So obviously
I
the
think he
government
said
has
he's worth like $3 billion worth of vibranium,
yeah.
right? We're not
So
just gonna
the
put him
government,
in the ground.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So they're using his resources as the government would. Wanda has gone in and confiscated that body. She stole that body, quote unquote, and that's why Hayward. That's why they're trying to get Scarlet Witch. They need her for what she pretty much has possession of. So this guy is ruthless, I would say. I mean, the first opportunity he had when he came in contact with Wanda was pull the trigger. You know,
Yeah,
he tried to drop her.
instantly.
She didn't like that, and but I think that he has an alternative motive. I think that there's something else that he's trying to do that is sketchy. Everybody seems to respect this guy, but if they start asking too much questions, he kicks them to the side.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, as soon as our little crew, that's like the good guys, started talking too much, he's like, "Hey, I need y'all out."
mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's the thing too. She quote unquote stole Vision's body. That's what he told everyone, right? And but what happened? We saw she came in, she looked at Vision's body. She did, break the glass. She looked at Vision's body, kind of said, "No, I can't feel you," and then she left. And then she
Mhm.
created her own vision, right? So we got to see, what's going on with this guy,
Yeah.
and
So what's the reasoning behind them freaking out and going after Wanda like this? Because technically she doesn't have nothing. She's just she went off on her own. She's depressed. She just lost the love of her life. She's creating this alternate reality so she could, still be with him, still be with Vision.
yeah.
And they did. I mean, they didn't take that lightly. They started sending off these different branches of the government to keep eyes on her. And then as soon as they had an opportunity to pull the trigger, they tried to. And for what reason though? But that's another question that has come up. Like she doesn't have possession of Vision's body based off of what we've seen. She went in there, she cried, and she left, but they still want her gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other thing is too, we got to think like, all right, her parents died, her brother dies, she blows up all those people in Lagos, right?
Mhm.
So technically, I'm pretty sure she's still classified as a domestic terrorist or international terrorist, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Right? She did blow up that building, even though it was an accident,
Mhm.
right? So right there, that almost politically sounds like they're like a polarization, right? Like, are you pro Wanda, or
And yeah,
you
she
could
was with
basically say like, "Nah, we don't like her."
yeah, and then she was with Captain America in Civil War,
Yeah.
who was against that whole initiative to have people sign over.
So then she is the domestic terrorist,
Yeah,
right?
so then yeah, she technically is on paper, she is a domestic terrorist.
And internationally, right? So nobody really likes her, and they know, they can see now the extent of her powers. So
Yeah.
him being that director looking out, he's probably like, "Nah, yeah, we gotta." eight-
Yeah, so that yeah, so
86.
that brings up a good point. Everything that they've seen with her, it hasn't been, the best of interest for everybody else. It's just been kind of her thing. She first started off, she was a bad guy in Ultron when they
Mhm.
first introduced her. Then she switched sides. Then her first time out in the field, she kills everybody in that building in Lago. Then coming back, that she comes out after Endgame and tries to kidnap Vision's body.
Yeah. So that's might be the final straw for the government, right?
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
imagine. But then episode 7, right? We get the Agatha all along, right? Agatha's been kind of pulling the strings. She's been really like the puppet master of Wanda. I would say she's really fanning the flames of
Yeah.
Wanda, because she says it's Agatha all along, but I mean, really, I mean, Wanda's the one that's created all of this, done all of it. It seems like Agatha's the one that's just like going along with it and allowing her to continue as long as she has.
Yeah, and kind of just like feeding her, little things just to keep her going.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, but the introduction of Agatha, I think that we've seen Doctor Strange. We know that this is a warlock, this is a wizard that can control magic. We know that Scarlet Witch. She hasn't been introduced as Scarlet Witch, but for those who know the comic book character, she's a witch. She's another controller of magic. She controls magic. So now we have Agatha, who is another character in this Marvel universe that is a witch that can control magic. So the introduction of this for the Marvel universe, I think, is just another way to open up a number of doors for characters that they can introduce.
Yeah, new possibilities, right?
Mhm,
As if the
mhm.
Marvel universe wasn't complex enough.
Yeah,
So that also we see in episode 8, Wanda, they kind of show her like origin finally. Like we didn't really see where she got her powers from. And here's a good point that um I heard earlier. My girlfriend Fabi asked me, she goes, well, she was watching this because she's not really too up to date on all this kind of stuff, which is a good point of view because I mean, we know like the backstory, all of this stuff, right? But from that other point of view, she goes, okay, so is she a mutant or is she a witch? You know, which one is it? I was like,
Hmm.
dang, that's a good question, right? Because if Agatha's a witch, then that means her powers come from a different source than Wanda. Is Wanda a mutant or not? It looks
Hmm.
like right now we're not going to get that answer. It goes into our like X-Men discussion, right? But it seems like she got these powers from the Mind Stone. She saw it. She saw this silhouette, right? Which is obviously like, I guess, you know, her true form or her
Hmm.
peak form, right? I saw this artist rendition that was pretty sweet of
Okay, yeah,
what the Scarlet Witch is going to be, but it's like, okay, you know, and obviously the first time we have her referred to as the Scarlet Witch,
yeah,
which was sweet.
yeah, because she's just been Wanda up until this point, and the Scarlet Witch is a name that superheroes have. She's that technically hasn't been a superhero, but
They
she's
even
just
made a
been,
joke about it earlier in the series,
yeah,
which was some funny foreshadowing in hindsight.
exactly. So it's like this character Wanda has these powers, and like they can't really
She's
explain.
OP.
Yeah, they can't explain where she got these powers from. And so it's not like, she created these powers, she created herself like Iron Man, or she was a god like Thor, or there was a chemical reaction, or super soldier serum. This isn't like any of those other comic book origin stories where they kind of just let us know like, hey, this is how it broke down. We don't know how Wanda got her powers until this episode here, and they really didn't even explain it. They just kind of just showed us the scene where she came into contact with the Soul Stone, and it reacted in a way completely different than it reacted with anybody else. So that's pretty much all we got.
Yeah, and that leads to the question too. Okay, if everyone else died, like they said, right? She had this reaction. Well, her brother got powers too. So how did he react the same way? I mean, obviously they're the same blood, but is that like a dormant mutant gene,
Hmm.
right? That was activated. You know what I mean? If we're thinking of theories, that's something that you can add. But I like the fact that Wanda this whole time hasn't shown her powers because she's OP, right?
Hmm.
We're talking about like Phoenix level
Yeah,
OP, maybe even greater.
stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, than Phoenix, which I mean, if that's even possible. So we see this, right? And yeah, we just see really what she's able to do because this whole time, like even with the theories that were leading into like Endgame and Infinity War, when they were talking about how they're going to defeat Thanos, I was one of my theories was, oh, Scarlet Witch, like she's finally gonna like show her true potential, right? Because I've been saying this whole like she can alter reality. She is the ether.
Yeah. So she's like, they've introduced this character so long ago and really just kept her on the sidelines. Really didn't get to see too much. Every time they did introduce her, she was crazy. You know what I mean? Like when she took on the Avengers when we saw her in Ultron, kind of gave him the little nightmares, but was still able to, take him out, gave the Hulk a nightmare that made him freak out.
Yeah.
And we all remember that scene. And then, they when she switched sides, they kept her at the facility kind of training. But then we see them in Endgame or the Infinity War, they show up and she defends Vision. Vision was kind of incapacitated. He was kind of taken out of the fight, and it was 1-on-2.
Vision took the
Scarlet Witch was
biggest
able to hold
L.
her own until, yeah, Captain America showed up. So then we get that, and then in the same movie, the big battle of Wakanda, for her love for Vision, she stayed with him inside of that hospital when they were trying to remove the Soul Stone, or the Mind Stone, excuse me. And then when it was too late and she had to jump into the fight, everybody was asking the question like, "Yo, why was she up there this whole time?"
Yeah,
We,
right.
we, get, we get to start seeing more and more of Scarlet Witch, and we see that, this girl is strong. She's powerful. And then in the end game, when she finally comes back from the snap, she goes toe to toe with Thanos, and pretty much just picks him up off the ground,
She had him
sets
on
him
the
up in his
ropes.
armor. Yeah, and he has no other option but to rain hellfire on top of his own troops, because Wanda has him in one hand and is
Yeah.
whoops. So we're seeing the powers of Wanda, which takes us directly into WandaVision. It's
Mhm.
it's the after effects of her dealing with Vision being gone. She came back from the snap. She's dealing with Thanos, the what he has done, and her not being able to bring back Vision. So that's what takes us into WandaVision. So we really get to start to see how powerful Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, is.
Right? Yeah, all of this grief that she's
Mhm.
had up until this point, and then the tipping point is just seeing Vision's body disassembled, and then them basically referring to him as just, property and like a
Property, yeah.
weapon, right? So that really get like sends her to the just over the top, and then
Mhm.
we have this going on, right? But what are they going to do with that property, right? We have in episode 8 the first time that we see a post credit scene, and this is pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
We see my
White
man
Vision.
White Vision
Yeah.
in here, right? So who is White Vision? What's going to happen? I mean, what's that thing in his forehead?
Yeah. What's that? What's his agenda? Yeah. And what's the thing is for? Did they recreate a Mind Stone?
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like they were able to activate him with
Some
that
sort of,
residual magic off of that Stark drone, right?
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. My guess
But
is
yeah,
as good as yours.
so this guy Hayward, the one who we've been skeptical about for a couple episodes now, has used the components that were left over from Vision to create this new White Vision. And my questions are, what are White Vision's motives going to be? Is it just going to be like some soldier for Hayward? Is he like another Vision? Now do we have two Visions, one inside the hex, one outside the hex? What is one just like a conscious vision that Wanda has built inside the hex, and one is a physical vision where if they come together, they can, possibly recreate the being. I don't know. We have a lot of questions that, and this is the first time we've seen a post-credit scene
Yeah.
inside of WandaVision. So is this going to be a thing moving forward with these Disney Plus Marvel original series, or is this just like maybe like a pre-season finale thing that they're going to do? I don't know. I'm excited to see what it is that they're going to do, but next week is the last episode of this upcoming Friday. Um and this is what we've been left off with: Vision versus Vision, Wanda versus Agatha. What's gonna happen? Yeah. So is this Vision gonna have any consciousness or any recollection of who Wanda is? Is he gonna be like a Vision restored to his factory settings where he doesn't know anything? He's just a blank canvas. No pun.
Yeah,
But yeah,
right.
what are we getting here?
I mean, that's what it looks like. If there's any indication from these comic books, right, of his original appearance, he says, "Wanda, is there some significance to this action when she kisses him?"
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know, right? There is none, which obviously the shows and the movies switch it up, and but I think that's going to be the same thing. I think he's just going to be a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
right, that they're going to use. So I think we are going to see that Vision v Vision, that showdown. That would be pretty sweet. And then
Yeah.
probably Wanda versus Agatha with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know, man. I mean, we got a lot of theories, whatnot, and that's the thing too, like what you brought up with these kids. Can the kids survive outside of the hex as
Yeah,
well?
because they were created by Wanda. She knocked herself up. She made herself pregnant
Yeah.
inside the hex, gave birth to twin boys inside of the hex. But then when Vision tried to leave the hex, he wasn't able to. His body was disintegrating. We started seeing the traces of those yellows like we first saw when Vision was created. So it seems like, her creations within the hex cannot live outside of the hex, which I think would might be true for the twins here, unless there's a possibility that these creations that Wanda, these creations that Hayward has outside of the hex with like White Vision, if they're able to sync up with what is created within the hex, so they can live outside of it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, and that leaves like another question, right? Is she creating this reality, or is she pulling from alternate realities? We see in the Marvel universe, they've already hinted at the multiverse, and now we have Doctor Strange with the Multiverse of Madness, pretty much confirming it with that
Mhm.
title alone. So, is she creating these? Did she create Vision? Did she create her kids? Did she pull them from another reality? right? So there's a few different things that we're not sure of. I guess that just leaves us with our theories, right? Of
Yeah,
how not only is the season finale going to go, but how will the events of WandaVision, what are
affect.
those? Yeah, how do they affect the Marvel universe? And I'll give it to you. What do you think? What are your theories?
So me personally, I think that yeah, I think Wanda has that power to alter realities and grab people from one universe and pull them into her universe through this grief that she's feeling. She hasn't been really able to channel it, and I think that that's what we're gonna figure out here in this finale is that she's more powerful than we've ever been able to believe, than we've ever been led to believe. So I think that yeah, she pulled Quicksilver from the Fox universe. This is what I think. I think that she did pull um her brother Quicksilver from that Fox universe.
Especially after I showed you that jacket, right?
Yeah, especially after that jacket. Yeah. So I think that she just didn't know it. She just like unconsciously just grabbed him. Agatha kind of helped pull some strings and I don't know, planted that seed or did whatever she did to kind of get Scarlet Witch to grab Quicksilver from an alternate universe. I think that she did the same thing with her kids. I think that in an alternate universe where Thanos didn't exist or they were able to defeat Thanos on the first go round, that she and her Scarlet Witch and Vision were able to live out that life peacefully like they wanted to and have those kids. So first it was just an idea. She gave birth to those kids, but then eventually they able to grasp the power that she has because one of them, I'm not sure which one of them, able is has the same powers that Scarlet Witch has.
Yeah, Billy, I think, right?
Billy, yeah. So one of them is able to do that. So I think that synced in through his mama some way somehow. He's been able to channel this magic and is able to harness it or whatever. And there's a lot going on. But yeah, I think that yes, she's able to manipulate these realities. I think that she will be a keystone, a key stepping stone into introducing these mutants and other characters from the Fox universe into the Marvel universe, and for her Phase 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for my theory is I'm gonna go a little crazy, right? First of all, I mean I don't think it's gonna happen, but it would be so dope if Fassbender just shows up.
Yeah,
Magneto, that
yeah,
dad
yeah,
shows
and
up, right?
puts her in timeout for what she's just done. Yeah,
Right, exactly. And the other thing too is, where has Quicksilver been since he got bodied at the fair?
hmm
Right? Was he even in episode 7 or 8?
no, he
I
wasn't.
don't. I don't think so. But
Mhm.
so where's he at? Right? He might play a role into the finale. And if I'm guessing right, you saw she's already expanded the hex
Mhm.
based off of just being upset. Right? What
Mhm.
happens if something else goes down in this finale? Right? I'm guessing possibly the walls will break and then there'll be just a reverberation across maybe the entire globe of residual, right? It'll be spread out, but everyone will be affected, and possibly that will be enough to spark the mutant gene and everybody else, or at least change reality here and there to maybe sprinkle in a
Mhm.
couple X-Men.
Or maybe, yeah, maybe once this hex like collapses, or like you said, kind of just like explodes and expands, maybe there's like rips inside of like their reality that kind of opens up for what this Doctor Strange movie is going to be. Is kind of him trying to patch up these rips, these tears, and where I don't know, we might see somebody sneak through, maybe like a Reed Richards sneak through. He might be on the other side of one of these doors, you know, or
What
maybe
about the what
Von
about the
Doom,
astro the aero scientist or the
the
aerospace
aero engineer,
engineer,
the
right?
aerospace engineer that we never really got to see. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who's that? That's still out there too.
there's a lot of
So
questions. Yeah,
I think there is a lot of questions. I know I'm getting a little crazy on the X-Men, so
yeah,
I'll save. I mean, I just went so crazy when I saw Quicksilver show up at the door. That
that was yeah, and that's another thing. So like the Marvel universe, they obviously they've hit homer after homer after homer with these movies. And it got to the point where I was just like, they're too safe. They're not going to take any risks. But then with Infinity War, I was like, okay, they caught me by surprise. I was like, they let Thanos do it. They let him collect all the stones, and he did it. He
Yeah,
succeeded, and I was
I
blown
didn't
away.
see
I said,
that coming.
okay. So did not see that coming. So with that being said, if Marvel does stuff like this, I don't know what to expect, but I kind of expect for them to do something that is so crazy that it just works. So if they introduce X-Men rip with the introduction of WandaVision in these Marvel Plus, Disney Plus series, even better.
Yeah, I mean, like what you just said, it works, right? Even Ben Affleck said it. He was like, "Man, these guys, they know what their audience wants and they know how to make it work." Right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, and when it comes to the theories too, we could sit here and do theories all day long, but they're probably wrong,
Yeah.
right? How many theories did you hear about the Soul Stone before we saw Infinity War?
Oh,
101, 1,000,004,
yeah, all of them. Yeah.
right? And none
How
of
about
them are
how
right.
about the theories about how they would defeat Thanos?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Ant-Man.
Yeah. Right? I didn't see that, thank God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it all just depends. I mean, that being said, next episode, episode 2, will be probably Saturday, Sunday, sometime this weekend, and we'll be discussing the season finale of WandaVision.
Mhm.
What happened? What can we expect for the Marvel Universe moving forward? And then from there, episode 3, 4, we might talk about some Marvel. We might talk about the DC because we got the Snyder Cut coming, something we've been working, or I guess looking forward to for a long time. Never thought we would see it. So we'll
Never.
break that down. And
I mean, and anything else. I mean, we got King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm always down to talk about that.
yeah, right. We'll definitely have to break that down as well. So we got plenty of content coming for you guys. Whatever y'all want to hear about, talk about, make sure you drop a like, drop a subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, and then just comment below what you think is going to happen with these questions that we have. What questions do you have, and what do you think?
Dude, don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected.
I would say so, right? So that being said, thanks everyone for tuning in to Super Cinema, and just be on the lookout for the next episode coming to you this weekend.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, if you guys have any theories yourself, make sure to drop them below. And tune in next week. We'll answer any more questions.
All right, that's the business and T Sherry signing off.
Peace.
Till next time.